Oh, I will rescue.
So, ideally, we want to talk about Mary, and
So sorry.
Right. I mean, we can talk about saints, and we can transition like we wanted to.
I mean, she's cool.
She's a saint.
Yeah, she's a hyperdulia, the top saint.
Mary?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Boom skillet. So Mary. Oh my gosh.
This is a real question for a second. Who wants to make an all-pro team of the best saints possible? Because my quarterback is Mary, for sure.
No, I put St. Joseph.
Oh no.
No, I'll tell you
My
why.
mom did not
Hold
go to
on.
football.
I'm going to tell my favorite joke. How does football get you to heaven?
Yeah.
All the Hail Marys you have to throw.
Oh.
So that's why.
I almost had it. Okay.
I'm sorry, I got excited.
I was right there.
So that's why St. Joseph would be the quarterback, and then Mary would be the wide receiver catching all the Hail
And
Marys.
St. Joseph is too silent to be a quarterback.
Whatever, you make it work.
No, he can't do a cadence. What is he gonna do?
I don't know.
I'm old. He's Tom Brady.
He could probably.
He's
hide the
Tom
football.
Brady.
He's like super old.
Was he actually old?
We don't
There's
know.
actually two different thoughts. Either people think he's old, or actually people think he was young, because he wouldn't have made a trip to Egypt if he was old.
Right.
So, and
Arthritis.
traveled as much and dealt with a
Yeah,
woman
like
how to
arthritis
give
and like
childbirth. So that's the thing.
True.
So there's two different arguments there as to how old St. Joseph was and what was going on.
So
I've heard 15, 19 before.
Yeah.
As in Mary and Joseph, or if you look at pictures, he's like.
I've heard this
16.
from my mom before when they yell at you. Oh, Mary and Joseph.
There you go.
Huh.
So Mary,
I
back to
just
Mary,
can't talk about Mary for
and
whatever reason.
why she's so cool. So you know what? Someone else start because that's always
Okay,
good start.
Go about what's something that you personally like about Mary and your.
That I personally like about Mary.
Your
What
spiritual
I
life.
always go back to is her fiat when she says, "Let it be done," and I just can't help but think that her whole life, God allowed her the special grace to kind of just like special graces the entire time, just to prepare her for something really, really unique and special.
Let me just get out of the way for a second. That's our inspiration for this specific video. Is her version of the miraculous medal.
There you go.
Yeah, but fiat is the Latin subjunctive, plural. So let it be done. He, she. Actually, that's singular. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's been too long since I've done Latin.
Language.
I know how to
It's a
say.
tough
I know how
thing.
to say the Hail Mary in Latin. But I'm just saying.
I don't.
If everybody's heard the song Ave Maria, it goes.
Wait,
in.
is that-
So you do.
Wait, is that?
You were just singing it.
Ave
That
Maria,
is
gratia
the-
plena Dominus tecum.
Ave Maria.
Yeah, no,
That
you
one.
got it down.
Yeah, gotcha.
My bad. I still need the lyrics for it. But
For
yeah.
me, what's weird about Mary, or in a good way, is like how I learned how to say the Hail Mary in Latin when learning the Rosary was the easiest part of the whole entire Rosary. Was
What Mary for you?
Mary for me?
Yeah.
It comes back to Our Lady of Czestochowa and the Miraculous Medal. And then most recently, I got into the scapular. I really like the Carmelite order. I'm just saying, so.
Well, what is all that? Because there are
Yeah.
people watching that probably have no idea anything that
Um,
you just said. So what did the first thing you said was?
Okay, so
Czestochowa.
Our Lady of Czestochowa is Polish. It's its devotion to Poland and how she protects Poland.
There's a lot of history there.
She's a queen of Poland. More specifically, she is an icon, which is an art piece. So essentially, she protects Poland.
She was, according to this tradition, painted by Saint Luke, so way back when. But then in the monastery, her icon is there with all of the Pauline friars over there in Poland on Jasna Góra, which is the White Mountain, White Hill. And at one point, that mountain, that entire monastery, which is actually a fortress, was attacked by the Turks, and it held up through the intercession of Mary and a lot of fighting.
Yeah, Mary.
Yeah.
And the second one you said was the Miraculous
The
Medal?
Miraculous Medal is very protective.
Saint, what is the
Saint Catherine Labouré.
Yes.
It's a French. It comes from French tradition. With forgot their order, but it has to do with Saint Saint Vincent de Paul, and
They are the
she
flying
was her-
nuns, like the big hats.
Oh, the flying
She
nun.
was known to have her superior be Saint Vincent de Paul in the area that she was.
It reminds. She was French, right?
Yeah.
It reminds me of I don't know, just French spirituality in general. I mean, like Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque comes to mind. Just like her big thing was having a picture and actual devotion and prayers established, and it's similar like that with St. Catherine of Labouré,
Yep.
also French, with a miraculous medal, just kind of like this kind of sacramental sign
Yeah,
of
me
something.
and Nicole have one on.
Mine's blue.
And mine's supposed to be cleaner, but it's a stainless.
I have
or,
the girly version.
I got the sterling silver version.
Yeah. So I used to wear something. Right now it's just my watch. But
Is it the consecration thing?
I used to have like a consecration chain, and the thing is like I wore it really intentionally tight, and so like it just felt like I wore it for multiple years, and it really burned into the skin, and so it's like I never forget about it. I still never forget about it.
Well,
so.
what we should do is we'll help you get a new miraculous medal of some kind.
Yeah.
Something
We'll
like
help you.
that.
Well,
I know people.
I might have just like 100 somewhere, but
You gotta make it into a necklace.
Well, what I recommend is there's
no.
the Fatima Shrine.
You don't want to wear a
I hate
necklace?
wearing things.
Okay, never mind.
Well, no,
Wait, what's the third thing you said? Scapular.
the scapular.
What is that?
So it has to do with Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and that stems back to all the way. I don't even know. I just can't really. There's just so much tradition.
Actually,
to it.
the Carmel lights are very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm learning about them. There's like no actual.
The simplest way to put it is: has anybody heard of?
Now Carmel, they think, is where it started, but like it's a little.
Well,
questionable.
the most obvious saint is.
Elijah on Carmel.
I don't know.
Well, we definitely
But-
know of losing a name already. The Rose, Little Rose. What's her name?
Saint
Teresa.
Teresa.
Yeah, that's
Little Flower.
probably the most commonly well-known
Lizzie.
Carmelite.
Oh.
So yeah, they wear brown, and the
Yeah.
scapular's traditionally brown. Their habits have a.
What does a scapular do?
A scapular is a devotion to
Tell
heaven.
them.
So it's enrollment by a priest.
He's got all the things, guys.
So you get enrolled by getting blessed. You have to respond to the blessings from the priest, and then they hit you with holy
What
water.
does it do?
It's honestly just it's protection so that
Yeah.
basically you don't go to purgatory as much, or you try to just get through life with protection of Mary.
Right, but it's also like if you die.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a very.
If you wear it when you're dying, you're supposed to skip through purgatory.
It's a very.
If you are to do the devotional attached to it.
Yeah, there's prayers and devotional recommendations to pray. Like praying the Rosary is an example of something like that. But this has specific meanings, and I don't do it. I just use it as a way of helping me, and it still protects you either way. There's graces attached to it. But I
I
just
used to wear scapulars all the time, but and I go through them like crazy.
how well,
Like in a month, they get destroyed.
I'm a very
Yeah, they don't last long.
the one you
I'm
said.
like,
And they don't last very well with running. It gets ugly.
yeah, I exercise a lot, and they do not last.
So here's what I gotta say. So you said you like Saint Mary Alacoque, and there's a website. It's like, you know how she said she likes devotional images. Well, there's a lot of websites, and so I heard of scapular.com's very good, well-made scapulars. So that's just a
I might need
recommendation.
some like heavy duty one.
Yeah, they make them so that when you open them up, you can actually have a pocket in there and put a miraculous medal in it.
Oh, interesting.
I recommend we should look into that too. It's
Yeah,
cool.
we really took a deep dive with that.
Yeah, we did.
So Nicole, what about you and
Mary?
Mhm.
I've had an adventure with Mary.
Okay.
So, growing up, I didn't understand Mary, if that sounds weird. I was like, she's the mother of God. We should probably listen to her and like pay attention to her. Until there was, it actually started with my job. We did a middle school retreat that was Marian themed, based on all of the apparitions that she had. It was
What's an apparition?
apparition is when Mary appears to people or whatever. We talked about Guadalupe, Fatima, Lourdes, all of them, and there were some pretty epic moments that occurred during that retreat that I'll maybe talk about at a different time. But I don't want to. It's
No, I get it.
real epic for the kids. I want to just keep it separate. And so that was my first like eye opener to like, okay, Mary, sounds good. And then I started doing consecrations, and then just like Mary just started showing up. The Life Team, which is the company our church uses, their theme was Fiat for the year. He made Fiat. I started getting involved in Fiat.
I got some swag on.
Got the swag, and I just started to really understand the power of Mary and like why she is so special. And then I took a class in college in Mariology, which is the study of Mary, and my brain about basically exploded. Where I learned about all the different aspects of Mary, all of her titles, and I was like, well, it's time to devote myself to her because this is crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely really cool to go through that adventure. of understanding who Mary is, because I feel like the Catholic faith is just so much to it, and it can be like super overwhelming when you come. Well, I came back.
Sure.
When you come back and start practicing again.
You had a reversion?
Oh, yeah. I call myself a comeback kid. And it can be super overwhelming.
Railing in the ninth inning.
Exactly. And Mary was super overwhelming to me. And then I slowly started like falling in love with her, and she's kind of walked me through a lot of shenanigans that have occurred in society and life, and as of recently.
So, actually, this is really exciting. So I haven't even mentioned the Fatima musical yet, but I just got word the last day, it was either yesterday or the day before that, that it's going to be done again, the Fatima musical. It's going to be, I don't remember her name, but that's okay. It's a school that's putting it on, but they're going to do it at the Seminary of the Immaculate Conception on Long Island on May 13th. So giving them all the materials, and they're looking forward to putting it up. And then I'm just really excited for this, because it hasn't been done since probably maybe, well, before COVID, so what is that, 2-3 years ago now?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
no, this will be really, really cool. But there's a lot of stories behind making the musical too, so
That could be
I mean,
another day. There's a lot to
Yeah, well,
that.
we'll simply put.
I'll just give you two highlights.
What is
So,
Fatima and who is she?
Can I give you the two highlights first?
Sure.
Okay, I really, two things really stick out to me. I was able to complete a project. I brought it to Father Michael Gately when he gave a talk at Franciscan University when we were there. And I asked him, is like, can you bless this project? I'm really, I've been working hard on it. I'm hoping it really turns out well and stuff. He was like, I don't know if I want to bless the project, but I'll bless you. And so he gave me a blessing instead. So that was really cool. And then I had a chance to actually bring it to Dr. Mark Miravalli.
That's the professor my class was with.
Nice.
And he's
He's real intense.
yeah, but he's also like the head Mariologist for like the Vatican and stuff.
Yep.
For whatever reason, he's in Steubenville. I guess not surprised. Hashtag.
Steubenville.
But
Hashtag Mary.
some of the questions I had, and he really helped me point me in the right direction with this, was with the Miracle of the Sun in scene 8. I wasn't sure, like, scene 5, like, do I include things like, okay, the Marian consecration of Russia and stuff? I mean, like, I feel like it's a can of worms, and all this is like, if you start talking about it, then you get all these America Needs Fatima people, and, well, what do you do? And he's like, no, tell the story as it is. So I was like, okay, he pointed me in the right direction.
I mean, if
That's
you like
ultimately what
pay
happened.
attention closely to Mary and her like apparitions and her story, not even like post her assuming into heaven, it's insane.
Think about all the apparitions she's done. Like in Our Lady of Guadalupe, she shows up in Mexico, but as a Mexican young woman.
Mm-hmm.
All of them relate to the culture, and they're all meant to be inspired.
Yeah, she appears to cultures in the culture she's appearing to.
She's not going to be like sticking out like a sore thumb.
Like she
No, okay,
appears
no, I
to
got it.
people in their own culture. She's appeared
She's
Asian.
humble.
She's appeared African.
If you think of Our Lady of Cabejo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then she's an African woman.
Yep.
Which is
I
really
want to like clarify for anyone who's watching us, like we don't worship Mary.
No.
Oh my gosh! If someone else says you Catholics worship Mary, I'm gonna be like, but we don't. We don't. We don't actually worship Mary. Only God deserves a certain type of worship.
Yeah, think about the way that we just like really like something. Like our parents, friends. We're not just gonna say they're the greatest thing and they're the only thing. But yeah.
Yeah. No, Mary is the model for what we should be as Christians. That's the way I always see it too.
And she is human.
Think about
She's a human being. Like she's not just like she's not God. That's
I heard this once before where it's like getting to know a friend, but then getting to know their parents. It's crazy. Like think about Jesus as her son, and getting to know her mom. That's like super inspiring for him.
Jesus' mom.
Yeah, Mary.
Yeah.
Like think about Jesus
Yeah.
as a good friend, but Mary's son, and your good friends. Like me respecting your mom gives you more humble, makes you feel more humble.
Yeah, I just think it's important that we understand that we don't worship her.
No.
She's not God.
For all those Protestants out there,
And non-Catholics and people who don't believe in God.
there's hope for you.
Oh my
I'm sorry.
gosh, that's
No.
so bad.
She loves you still.
She still loves you. She's just a tangible person that we can reach out to. That it's a real person, like real human being that was given special graces.
I think you can really see this in the beginnings of the early church, first couple centuries. You have a couple.
Your battery's dying.
Is the battery dying? No.
No worries, we'll cut back in if it's
Let me know when it stops.
If it does, we'll cut back in.
But like there are the different church councils that happen.
Oh yes.
And they were meant to be Christological, as far as like who was Jesus,
There's
as
like
far
all
as
the
God and
beginning of the
human and all
church.
this. And what ended up becoming very necessary was like, okay, who is this? Who's Mary?
Yeah. So one of the big things in class that I learned was there's a very deliberate reason why Mary appeared the way she did
Okay.
in the timeline.
Yeah.
So when the church was new and Christ, died, and then he rose, but then he was assumed to heaven, right? Like there was a time where there's no Christ walking around the earth, right? So in the beginning of the church, they were like, oh my gosh, what do we do? So the beginning of the church is like first they thought that he was going to come back in like 3 years. They thought he was going to come back a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And then and then they spent the beginning evangelizing, spreading the faith, and doing all that. And then once they realized, oh, we need to like actually make this structural and figure this out.
Right.
Is then when they started making teachings and dogmas that answer who Jesus was. Right? They had to answer that question going forward before they could move the faith forward. So once Jesus was figured out, which sounds weird, and the Holy Spirit and all that.
Well, because there's
basically the Trinity was figured out.
I was going to say God versus human.
And that took like 600 years. Like it was crazy.
It's hard. I mean, like, how can God be three and one at the same time? Are there three gods, or are there not three gods? You would think.
If anybody has attended Mass and you hear the part of the Mass that goes, Mysteries of Faith, it's because nobody knows everything.
Like, they could try their best to describe the Trinity, but let's be real. Our human brains are not going to understand
Mystery
it.
of Faith. And then we go to the Holy
Until
Holy.
we die.
We'll never know everything.
Well, until we die.
Yeah.
So once they figured that out, Mary then started appearing. You notice that? Once all that stuff was solidified.
I'm trying to think when Guadalupe. Was Guadalupe kind of like the first, or not?
It was
really?
the first.
It was the first.
It was the first.
When is that? Like, it has to be 1500.
1500s, yeah.
Okay.
So it
Sorry, I'll
took,
look on
but
here
like
real
you can
quick.
understand, it took the church.
No, I'm not joking.
Yeah, look at it. It took the church that long to one figure out the Trinity in Jesus and to get structurally sound.
December 9th, 1551, Juan Diego.
We are so smart. And I thought it was very interesting that, like, God is like, okay, figure it out, and now I'm going to send Mary.
Right.
And when Mary first appeared, she didn't drop anything crazy. She wasn't like, I'm the Immaculate Conception. The first time. She was just
doesn't-
like, hi, I'm Mary. You should pray some to me. I got you.
Right.
And then it slowly started increasing when she
Right.
started explaining who she was in the various different teachings of her, and then the church responded to that.
Right. I'm just trying to go back to the same class, or essentially the Mariology class I had with Dr. Mirvalli. The one thing that sticks out the most for me is, like, for whatever reason, Fatima is kind of the most important apparition. Everything that's promised there is somehow brought about or reminded in some capacity in the other apparitions too. I would need to look
she's
up
still
more about
appearing
that
now.
too, so.
She's still appearing
Yeah.
now. She's not done.
There's okay, what's the difference between when we see an apparition like that versus what we don't see?
Private versus public revelation.
Yes.
Public revelation is like the gospel, so everything in the Old and New Testament, and then part of the official canon of the church.
And that
the life of
ended when the
Christ.
last apostle died. Right?
I would say
Revelation.
essentially.
Public.
Yes.
I'd say essentially, yes.
Yes. Well, that's what school told me. Public revelation ended when the last
Can I just say something
apostle
very
died.
simple for everybody that might be Protestant or not super Catholic as much? I literally never took class, just so you guys know. They did, I did not, so I know what I'm learning just by attending services. So I highly recommend just
Going to mass.
going to mass and just attending your services and applying
Go
yourself.
to your young adult youth groups and...
I never went to class for this. I just kind of
There you
learned
go.
it through studying it and being very just
But then private revelation
Yeah.
has been happening since the beginning of time. That is basically like individuals that have something revealed to them by God that is meant to support and validate something already in the church.
Yeah, it's meant for the spiritual edification of the lay faithful, to really help them grow in like holiness and spiritual attitudes and all this kind of stuff.
Things like, the example I always tell the kids is Divine Mercy. Divine Mercy Chaplet, all that kind of stuff. Mercy
That's
is
a big
very
one, though.
well, yes, mercy is very prevalent in the Bible, which is public revelation.
Mm-hmm.
But things like the Divine Mercy Chaplet, Divine Holy Hour, was it the thing?
3 o'clock holy hour.
That and Faustina, that's all private.
Yeah.
When you think about her diary,
Private.
yes.
That's all meant to
Really big.
That's all meant to support the thing that already exists. Mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's a simple little thing to say. It's like when you talk about Divine Mercy, I have a published Bible called Divine Mercy Bible by Ascension Press. It's a Catholic website. But anyways, it gives you everything you need to know. And they edit it in such a way that they tell you specifically where the public versus, private.
And
I mean, as far as the story of Divine Mercy goes, that's incredible too, because for a long time, the whole message was not translated from Polish, and so it's kind of like circulating, widely accepted within Poland. But then it kind of got shut down from like a Vatican level until finally Pope John Paul II came into the papacy and like had it opened up the investigation again, and like it got it approved, and then it became like boom, got big. So
only God makes it happen.
Does anybody want to turn the camera towards that Divine Mercy image?
good. For all you folks at home.
Yep. That's in Polish, by the way.
It is in Polish. There we go.
But also, Mary's apparitions and things like that, that is happening, but, there's a lot of people questioning, especially if they're Protestant or don't believe in what we believe in. Is Mary actually present in the Bible?
You want to go grab a Bible?
That is no, we don't have to grab a Bible, but obviously we know in the New Testament they're like, Mary, the Mother of God. But, fun fact, she is also foretold in the Old Testament and Revelation. Someone want to talk about that?
The simplest way to put it is books of Luke. That's always helpful. I know the first chapters of Luke's Gospel help a lot.
So if you go to the Proto-Evangelium, which is Genesis 3:15, that's
There
where
you
you
go.
kind of first find the first, I guess, prophecies concerning Mary.
Mm-hmm.
From, what is it?
I'll put enmity between you and the woman.
Yeah, between your seed and her seed. So, so ultimately that seed is Christ, but then there's the serpent and lies and, a life of death, if you can say that or something like that.
Oh, you can. You can.
Yeah.
But so Mary is foretold that she's going to crush the serpent's head with
With
her heel.
her seed, which is Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
So ideally, that's her Our Lady of Grace concept.
Yeah, standing on the snake.
There you go.
That goes back to Genesis.
Yeah.
See, snake.
The thing is, like, that gets me is like we
I
wouldn't
personally
have
think
Chri-
she's the prettiest in this. I don't know. That's me.
Oh, that's true. We
Go
wouldn't have
ahead.
had like Christianity, Christ, the whole message of gospel salvation without Mary, literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why Fiat keeps coming back to me. She could have said no.
And that means
How terrible would
that means
be?
literally everything.
Yeah, that's...
Because like free will is like, oh boy.
It's a real thing.
She really could have... A lot of people ask me, they're like, oh, she couldn't actually have said no. She was destined in the beginning and created so that she wouldn't say no.
I think
How do you respond to that?
God really put all of his cards on the table. He is like, let's go through like 4,000 years of BC and Old Testament history, and then finally come to Mary and see if she actually says yes.
But could she have actually said no?
I think so.
I think God would have still worked through that. She could have.
I think
I
she's
mean,
just
God's God. He does. He
God
can do
does what he
whatever.
does.
I think she's just a very good person.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. It takes a lot of courage to like do that. And one of my favorite things, like a lot of people come at me as a woman in the Catholic Church. I'm just going to be really honest, and they're like, "Don't you feel oppressed in the Catholic Church? Because I can't be a priest. I can't do all this stuff in the church." And I'm like, "No, because look at Mary."
If I were to tackle the same thing you were talking about as far as, girls in the church, I'm like, it's almost not fair. I mean, how much can you relate to Jesus just because, you can try to imitate him, but at the same time, he's God. It's like, it's hard. So I'm really appreciative of the fact that there is Mary as an example, too, because it's like she's I don't want to say Jesus isn't human, but like she's human just like I am too. It's like,
Mary doesn't have a God nature.
right, exactly. She doesn't have a divine nature.
No.
And she just has this perfect participation just in the plan that God has for humanity and that salvation. And so I see so much inspiration in that. So
And imagine if we all participated in the way she did.
yeah,
Our world would be on fire for the Lord.
yeah.
But I'm not going to wear a dress.
You do not need to wear a dress, no.
No. No.
You wear a kilt.
I mean, this is a serious question that I might not know. Can a guy participate in the habit?
In the habit? Well,
Well,
there are lots
habit
of
is-
guys' habits.
It means any.
Okay.
I mean, you have like Franciscans, they wear a habit. Is that your
Yeah.
question?
No, I mean,
So
like
you know what the sisters wear?
Yeah.
That's a habit, but also what brothers wear is a habit.
Got it.
Like it's the same.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a dress, but it can be as
A
just-
habit.
No, and like for example, if you think of the Dominicans, for instance, like the guys they wear the big white robes, but then they also have like this front piece,
Oh, yeah,
which
so
is called
actually-
the scapular, except it's a big
Here we go.
version.
It's a good start to a conversation. Why does she look the way she does? And we can talk about the religious life.
Like this?
Yeah.
Well, it's also like the time period.
Okay.
Back when Mary was around, she was a devout Jewish woman, and their thing was they had to veil their hair back in the day. And
Back
this was
in
just
the
the
day.
type back in the day. This
Back in the
is-
day.
In the Middle
Just-
Eastern days that we know well.
we know it so well.
Back in the day.
That's just what they had to wear, and this is just the outfits they wear. But a lot of I know women, sisters, and nuns do emulate this. They do try to kind of copy what Mary wore because modesty is great.
Modest is hottest.
Oh gosh, I didn't want to say that line.
I'm saying it because I.
No, I don't like that line. Oh,
Modest is
gosh, don't ever say that.
Well, long story short is women are the best.
Yeah, we are.
Do you guys have a favorite Marian movie?
Ma-
Well, I mean, that's very specific. There's not a whole lot of them, but I'd have to go with the Fatima 2020 movie.
I'm trying to remember. That's the newest
the
one
one
that
that's
came
when you
out?
saw at the drive-thru.
Okay.
I would say that
Sorry,
one.
No offense. The drive-through. That's when you go eat.
No, we watched it at the drive-thru.
It's called the drive-in.
Drive-in.
Oh.
That's when you go eat. The drive-through is when you go eat.
That was my first drive-in. So I ran out of
We have
batteries.
okay. So in our area,
Oh my gosh, this stinking thing. It keeps.
I saw the movie once with my mom at home.
That's the only Marian movie I know. I don't know any other ones.
Okay.
Oh, there's a movie. Oh, there is a movie called The Nativities. It's very much similar to Passion of the Christ, but it's all about her nativity
Listen,
and her Christmas. So
I was not
Yeah.
raised in the Catholic world. I don't know.
But you see, the Nativity movie actually shows her having birth pangs, which is like...
Which is incorrect.
Yeah. So
They were
other
just
than
trying
that,
to be.
it's kinda
They were
cool.
trying to be red.
Which
Which is a
Protestant.
conversation for another day because my goodness.
It's
we could
very
keep going.
because she has the graces.
No,
of
because like the
just-
thing is, like in Genesis, I mean, like the pains associated with birth is something that was like one of the curses given to Eve. But then like Mary was immaculately conceived, and so she didn't have original sin or any of those things. She didn't experience the pangs associated with the birth of Christ. But what she did have was the pain at the foot of the cross in birthing like the church, like which happened kind of at that moment.
Our Lady of
If that
Sorrows
makes
is a
sense.
good
No.
example.
A little jealous of Mary about that one.
Yeah, but that
Not gonna lie.
I-
Not this cross
you know what?
one.
You're
but the other one.
really strong, but I don't think you would survive what Mary survived. at
if
the foot of the
anybody's seen
cross.
I thought you were talking about birth. I was
Oh
like,
no,
what?
The Pietà is a good example.
I
of
could
that.
survive that, but the cross, no.
Yeah, like that'd be rough.
No, I'm okay. I don't need to be Mary. I'm fine.
Has anybody seen the art piece, the Pietà?
Yeah.
That's the thing that said St. Greg's in the
Oh,
back,
oh,
but not
yes.
the real one.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's kind of like an example of what we're referring to is how she just deals with that suffering.
So
Yeah.
she did suffer.
It's an art
just
piece. Everybody
differently
probably
than-
knows. Who? Michelangelo.
Was it?
Yeah, Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Oh my gosh. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle did not make this piece
No,
of
in
art.
fact, he's actually a cartoon, so he doesn't exist.
Well, guys, we should probably end this because my goodness, this is going to be so long.
Is this really long?
Yeah, the other one was 30 minutes, and then you do this one, and then
But
we
as far as
still-
what we talked about, was it all like good?
I mean, we could talk more, but we shouldn't.
I feel like we can, and I just want to talk more.
How do we
anyways.
round it out though?
Well, team, that is the first segue of Mary. There's a lot more to her.
we
So
went deep. It was like we went
yeah, I'm really
what do you
sorry
call it?
for the big words and like
deep
the big,
into the weeds. That's
We
what we
really
did.
did.
Well, here's what we can say if we want to round it out. You ask us questions, we'll respond with them.
Yeah. If
So-
you have any questions about Mary, we can try our
We did
best.
have people respond to the last video. They left little chats in there. We had Theo Fire in there. Ted Devine, shout out to you. It's super cool. I forgot.
Grace.
What did he say?
He said just rock on, basically.
Yeah.
He's like, let's do it. And I was like,
rock
okay.
on.
He basically said, let's go, I think.
I think so. And then Grace Cote.
Yeah.
She just said, we're super stupidly funny.
And what'd you say?
She said that we're funny.
Yeah.
I'm happy we were funny for you. But seriously, if you guys ever have any questions about Mariology, Mary, Faith, I don't know, us, you can comment.
We can talk about anything, really, but we center it around Mary.
We just wanted you to understand Mary a little bit. There's so much more. I wrote an entire paper about her, so like, we could keep going. But
I go to a Marian church.
there you go.
At the end of the day, you know, we talk about Mary all day, but Mary would talk about Christ all the day. So that's just kind of how it works.
Amen. Because
Amen.
Mary, we do not worship her, but she leads us to her son.
That's right.
It's like this. If you're super like stuck, the way I look at it is Mary's a great way to she's like a transporting vehicle to.
A transporting vehicle.
She transports all of my prayer.
I imagine her holding my hand and being like, "Come on, Nicole."
Vehicle's cooler. What kind of vehicle?
Definitely like a freaking.
If you say horse,
horse and buggy. No, I think of her as like driving something like radical, like very.
she's in a chariot that's on fire.
Like legit, just super like think of like a Camaro or like something super
I
fast.
don't think she would. I think she'd just walk. I don't think she'd just be like, "Come on."
No.
All right. So here's the thing: pray to Mary. She'll lead you to her son. She's always interceding for you. And join us for our next episode with whatever it's gonna be, folks, because we
Yes.
never know. Plank it up. Cheers.